What is going on, everyone? James Livingston here, back again, and can we all just take a second to look at how beautiful this Unity software play played out? I mean, guys, this literally played out almost to a T. The only thing we didn't really get was a pullback. It just kept running. So initially when we analyzed this, we saw that there was that inverse head and shoulders. We identified the neckline breakout at about 28.30s, and then we expected a move over the coming days and weeks up to 40 or close to it. I did not think it would happen that quickly. I'm not gonna lie, that was a pretty monstrous move from the initial call out, which was down here in the $27 range when we talked about it there last week, or sorry, 2 weeks ago. And you can see here that this thing has just played out. The first initial week we talked about it started to break up to that neckline, and then this past week was just an absolute banger. So awesome play playing out right there. I still think that if it does pull back, there's room for this to continue to play out, but as of right now, this was the move that I wanted. So we'll have to reevaluate this here in a couple of days or weeks. And then there's Upstart. Upstart was also just an absolute banger to the T on the price targets. I believe we talked about this one back in the very beginning of July. Here was like July 3rd, 4th, 5th, somewhere in that first week or so. We saw that there was this gap up here, this fair value gap on the daily time frame that it was playing out into. We also saw that there was a massive inverse head and shoulders that was playing out, and continuation was occurring, following the trend to a T on the 20 EMA. And overall, just a very successful trade. This one pushed all the way up to the 80s, has a pullback, and still looks like it can continue further and wants to. We did lay out a longer time frame or longer term time frame as far as what I expect out of the stock, and I still hold to, I think it should get up into that 90 range here eventually. I'm just not sure exactly when right now. I'm going to continue to watch this one, see if it consolidates down. This could be a future one to continue looking at. Now, for this week, I do have a couple that I'm keeping an eye on here, mainly Roku. I've been watching Roku for literally multiple weeks, since like really the beginning of the year, actually. And this thing has just been trending up very strongly. Now, we are pinching price action pretty aggressively right now, so I'm expecting that one of two things is going to happen. We're either getting a big push to the downside or a very big pop to the upside. It's just getting too tight for the price action. I think there's a move coming. I will say earnings is on the 31st here of July, so there is still a chance that this thing can get an earnings run up and then potentially drop on earnings. So that's kind of the idea that I'm looking at based on the overall trend right now, continuing to set in that higher high, higher low setup. And as of right now, I mean, I'm expecting that this high of day there from Friday, 93.85s, lines up pretty well back here in February as well with a previous high of day. I think that we'll start to get a really big push over this area and up towards $96, potentially even getting a push up into the $100 psychological range. I think is very possible. When Roku pops, it does tend to pop a couple dollars at a time, so this can get very interesting. Now, if we do start to push to the downside, I expect that if we start to break beneath this area here at about 88.50s, I do expect that this could see a larger retracement, so you can actually play this for maybe a nice move to the downside as well. Just depends on which way you want to play it, calls or puts, but wait for these specific levels to break out, and then I would say it's a go. Roku could be a really nice one this coming week or two leading up to earning. Now, another one that I'm looking at here for potential continuation is going to be Net. Now, Net is actually pushing up towards 198s. It's not its all-time high. If we look back here, we can see the all-time high is up in the 220s, but that's okay. That's not exactly what I'm looking for at the moment. I'm honestly looking for potential push up towards the top here or close to it. But at the very least, I do expect that price action should push up over 204 just slightly here in the short term. Now, we've got a couple areas, mainly that $200 psychological level that does need to break out, but I do believe if we can break a 2-week prior high here at 198, this thing's getting a pretty strong bounce right now with ramping volume and earnings coming up as well. Again, maybe a pre-earnings run up. I think it's very possible that once 198 gets broken, that we can see 200, possibly upwards of 205 or higher pretty quick. All right, guys, and then the last one here that I have mapped out is Dell. So when I'm looking at Dell here, I can already see that it is breaking out. So this is going to happen either one of two ways, right? Because as you can see here, I have a whole gap here laid out on the daily time frame. We have a big gap up to the 139.75, just about 140 area. So about $9 from where we're at right now. Dell seems to be getting some pretty solid buying pressure into the gap right now. It did just tap out at 1 132 or just about 132. 132.64 is a very strong level that we need to keep an eye on here moving forward, because that can send us really far into the gap. You can see that that area right there is a previous resistance that turned to a support. So if we can break above that area, I do think that this gap gets filled very quickly, or at least starts moving very quickly. We have specific levels here at 136.70 up there, and then we also obviously have the end of the gap there, just about 140. So my expectation here, and what ideally I'd like to see happen, is this thing to kind of trek back. I want to see it kind of pull back here. So make kind of like one of these patterns, nice little 50-60% retracement to this area here, and then start to trek up and get that strong push to the upside. That's ideally what I'd like to see. Like I said, if this 132 level does start to break out specifically, then I would say you probably should go ahead and probably take a position on. I do like Dell. I think that it's moving very aggressively right now. We got a nice push there on Friday. Buyers held it up pretty good, so I would expect that this one can continue moving on. We don't have earnings until August 28th, so there's really a lot of time for this thing to just get a natural run. So I'm expecting that to kind of happen here. You can see consistently this has been breaking out, consolidating, breaking out, consolidating, breaking out, maybe a stronger breakout here before consolidation. So Dell is definitely worth being on your radar. But that's gonna be it for this video, guys. I just wanted to update you guys on some certain stocks that I think you can look at for swing plays that possibly could win really in either direction. Two of them mainly in the upward direction, and then one of them could be a big move in either direction there. So definitely keep an eye on those. Let me know in the comments. Let me know what you guys think about these videos, if they're helping you out as far as technical analysis. And obviously, if you're making some money off these plays, that's great. That's what I like to hear. So let me know, guys, if you're new, and I will see you in the next video. Peace.